Welcome to the Overflow Mindset Group. Hopefully you're experiencing overflow in your life. So today let's take a look at the futures markets. We'll take a look at the indices. So looking at the Dow Jones, is the E-mini Dow Jones here. Looking pretty good actually. If we look at where we were for all-time highs, we're right here. And if you look at the market now, we're really close to getting back to those all-time highs, maybe 1,500 or so away, maybe 2,000 away from that all-time high that we had here. So this is really looking like a really good recovery. Ever since it pushed down to these zones down here, it's been doing pretty good, which is the pre-COVID drop. So it came down to this level, pretty much started finding support, and now it's been pushing up from here. So this is actually looking really good. We just have to continue to monitor the progress. We do expect some pullbacks, but ultimately to get back up to that all-time high. So we'll have to continue to watch. We are above the 200-day moving average, which is the blue line. We call that the blue watermark, is what we refer to it as here. And then it's also above the 50-day moving average as well. So we're looking really good, out of the water pretty well. We've broken through some of these daily zones. So from here, we just expect, of course, more volatility, but ultimately for it to continue to push back up and retest these highs. Again, generally the market will take out these highs and continue on. So the Dow is looking really good. Let's take a look at Nasdaq. So Nasdaq is still a bit down, but if you look at it, what we have here is a Fibonacci reading from this low all the way up until this high. We pulled exactly back into the 61.8% mark, and it has been pushing up ever since that particular mark. You're looking at we're above the 50. We are still below the 200-day moving average, the watermark here. And also we're just now getting above the 50-day moving average. Looking at about 50% to get back up to all-time highs would be that move as we see it currently. So we'll have to continue to monitor this and see how it goes coming back up. But if it does follow the Dow, it should start to push up even more. Say Russell 2000 looking very similar to the Nasdaq. So we expect something very similar. Fibonacci reading on this one brings us back to the 50% mark, which is actually lines up to the pre-COVID drop. So find a support there for the Russell as well. We'll look at the S&P 500. Looking at the S&P 500, pretty much similar. Now it is above the 200-day moving average watermark, so that is a positive sign. Also above the 50-day moving average as well. So we have quite a bit of room to move here. Let's take a look at, if we were to look at the percentage-wise, how far we are away. Looks like, 17% or so, 18% away from all-time highs for the S&P 500. But giving some positive signs here. All right, let's take a look at crude oil. So looking at crude oil, we've pushed down to the $75 level. So we marked the $75 level because the price of crude oil has really been below $75 a barrel for quite some time. Looking back in history, back here in 2018, and that's pretty much where it traded at. At some point, it started to move up above that particular level and trade above that level, but now it has come back and tested that level twice actually. So the question here, and our moving averages are still kind of moving down here, so the question here is, will this support hold, or will it continue to sort of push down back below the $75 level? Right now we're showing strong support here after testing it twice, but the moving averages are still moving down, so we have to see, and we're still underwater on the price of oils. But and also it looks like we might be due for a little bit of a push up, and we'll have to see what happens after that. So that's crude oil. Take a look at gold. So looking at gold starting to look good. It's popping up above the 200-day moving average watermark. that we have here is not underwater. It's out of the water at this point. Is above the 50-day moving average as well. So these are both positive signs for some upward potential for some upward movement. Now we're looking at these daily zones as well, that it is breaking past some of these daily zones and continue to move up. So we'll have to continue to watch this one in order to see what happens. But right now it is looking pretty good as far as getting some momentum to the upside. All right, let's take a look at natural gas. With natural gas, it did dip down here below the 200-day moving average watermark, but overall it has been trading above this 200-day moving average. So we'll have to see how it does when it comes back and retests, if it bounces off and continues up. Of course, we had hit all-time highs, recent all-time highs. Looks like back in August in that time frame. So the question is, will it try to come up and retest that again, or are we looking more for downside? At this current moment, the RSI reading is really high, so we do expect somewhat of a pullback before we get sort of that push to the upside. Take a look at wheat. Wheat is below water right now, so the price of wheat is coming down. Still hasn't dropped below previous support levels, so we'll have to continue to monitor this. And it's also looking like we could expect somewhat of a push up pretty soon. Yeah, we'll have to continue to monitor this. Not a whole lot of movement, but we'll see. Corn is the same way. We have this gap that needs to be filled in. It looks like half of it more or less is filled in. So really this top half needs to be filled in. So we have to watch and monitor this to see if it can break above the watermark and continue to the upside to go ahead and fill that particular gap. All right, we can look at Australian dollar here, and we can see this again. The Australian dollar is moving up above the 50-day moving average, moving toward the 200-day moving average. So the question here will be, is there enough of a momentum to continue to push to the upside? Otherwise, as it meets that 200-day moving average, you could see it pull back down, even based on the RSI readings. Maybe that might be the case, but we'll have to wait and see. Right now, it's still moving up though. British pound, same story. British pound is moving up against the dollar. The Canadian dollar and the euro. So the euro, looking at the euro, of course we were talking about we're paired up one to be equal to the US dollar at one point, and it kind of found some support down here. Now it's starting to push back up, so which would also indicate that the US dollar is losing value as well. But moving up is what we kind of would expect to happen here, and continue that sort of movement to the upside. Of course, there are going to be dips and that sort of thing, but it will continue to move to the upside. Japanese yen, same story. All of these would be based on the dollar. I don't know if I have the dollar index. No, here's the dollar index we can look at. So looking at this dollar index, you can see we previously were always headed to the upside. Right about here we started dropping back down, and we dropped down to the 200-day moving average. Of course, this is a big gap between the 50-day and the 200, which it was a lot of momentum. Now we're getting that momentum really to the downside. So the question here is, will we get one last push and then maybe continue to the downside, or just what? So we'll have to continue to monitor the US dollar, but any pair that's based against the US dollar is going to have an impact of however the dollar moves. All right. So I guess we're going to wrap it up. That kind of covered quite a few things that are in the futures market. So other than that, overflow.